Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Thomas Urban and I'm responsible for the international side of things of Zoner Photo Studio. And today I actually would like to present you about Zoner Photo Studio and the things it's capable of and what you can do with it. And for the most part, I'm pretty sure that most of you have never heard of this program before. And to take an excerpt from a recent review that we've had about us, they literally said that it's the most universal and best software that you've never heard of. And as of now, we're only available on the Windows platform, and we do have plans to extend that to other platforms as well, but I can't give you a specific time date of that yet. And before we kind of jump in, I would like to cover some basic parts of Zoner Photo Studio, and that basically we created it for photographers, as we're all photographers ourselves, and working with the options that are currently on the market today, we felt that there were just a lot of things missing, and so we created this to kind of bypass that and really have a lot of options when it comes to editing and not be stuck in any kind of workflow or sort of rhythm that a brand forces you into. Our programs have been around for 20 years, and we have a lot of experience into the trends that have been, that have come and gone, different sort of workflows, and it's given us an overall kind of insight into how we think a program should work. We're also not about kind of tying you down. We're more about giving you various options into what sort of workflow you can have. And I think we have several unique characteristics that separate us from the competition. And a lot of them are actually the very things that we think people, when they get stuck in a program and they say, man, I wish I could do this. And then they start looking for alternatives. That's what we've taken and applied it into our program, so that you don't have to settle for the status quo and the players that dominate the market today. Okay, so enough talking about theory, and so that you don't have to stare at my face all day, let's jump into some details more of the program and the anatomy. But before we go into that, I just kind of want to take you through sort of a real general overview of what we'll be talking about today and where you'll find different parts within the program. Many of them will be parts that you're probably used to from other programs, but let's just go over that and see how Zoner Photo Studio is split up. Before we jump in, I just want to say this is a pre-recorded video. To save kind of time and make it efficient. We are live though, we're on standby, so if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to write us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, or just during the presentation. If your questions are a bit more advanced, if there's something here that perked your interest and you want it kind of explained more in depth, feel free to reach out to support@zoner.com. That's not just a place where you write us with any issues you have with the program, but any questions you have, we're happy to get back to. And also, it's a great way to communicate with you as a community and build our software to suit your needs and move forward from that. Okay, so notice the program is split up into various sections or parts. Up here, you can create new tabs, just like in a browser. So it's really easy to multitask. And right here across the top, you've got some basic tools, which we'll get into later or another time. And here on your left side, you've got your navigator, which you can hide, and it lets you move around from one folder to another. And again, we'll just cover that and more details about that later. Right here in the middle, you have the preview, where you can see a specific photo or set in the film strip below, and also just a kind of general overview of your photos. and you can transfer and move around by double clicking. And then lastly, here on the right side, notice the tools you have at your disposal to work a photo, or several of them at the same time if you need. Okay, so the tools we have in Zoner Photo Studio are separated into 4 different modules. And the base, or kind of the foundation where you should start off from, is the Manager module. And this one is responsible for organizing your photos, rating them, giving names, descriptions, even your GPS location, checking if your pictures are in focus, etc. Next is the Develop module. A very simple way, or a way of simply putting it is basically your Lightroom equivalent. It's a non-destructive editor, and any change I make is displayed in real time. And it also saves in real time, so I don't actually need to confirm or save anything by clicking manually. And because of that, therefore, I'm not actually overwriting any original file. Zoner Photo Studio simply saves what's called a data ZPS file. It's our own internal file right next to the original in the current folder, and any current info and changes that are made are saved into that file separately, but right next to your original file. We'll come back to that later. Okay, and right over here we've got the editor module, and when you compare it to the develop module, it's kind of the opposite, and it's an advanced bitmap editor. Again, to simplify it and what you can expect comparing it to competitors, this is more or less a Photoshop. And I want to openly state that we're nowhere near as advanced as Photoshop. We're not trying to be like them or better than Photoshop. That's not our goal. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Photoshop, but it's a very complex bitmap editor, and it's used for graphic design and other things. It's just really deep and complex, and like I said, it's not our goal to compete with them. A bitmap editor isn't really a primary tool for photographers, and but historically it's been used that way. Adobe itself has many products which are more suitable for photographers. And if you're manipulating reality, stacking photos on top of each other to create collages or layers, and different advanced retouching, then this is where a bitmap editor will suit your needs and is a more effective tool compared to something like a non-destructive editor. So we have this tool too in the editor module where you can work, like I said, with layers, masks, and more. And we'll touch up on that a bit later if needed or if time allows. Okay, and then our last module is the Create module, where we view it as the final step in your workflow and in creating your images. And at least from our point of view, we feel that it's a really kind of cool process if you can take your work, take your photos, and create something that's real from them. Having them kind of live forever on a drive somewhere, showing them on a tablet, phone, etc. It's just, I don't think it'll ever be as real or as emotionally compelling as something that you physically have in your hand and you can share with someone or your friends or family, etc. Okay, so inside it, you can create canvas prints, photo books, calendars, prints, and something I think most editors don't have, and we do, is a video editor here at the bottom. And we included it because most cameras nowadays not only take awesome and amazing pictures, but they also have great video recording capabilities. And for the most part, videos nowadays are just a part of almost every photographer's workflow. So why not? And whether that's a DSLR or a mobile phone, they're all capable of doing that nowadays. Cool thing to add is that we're able to print and ship these products directly to you from the program. And it's not because it's just about grabbing your money, but you can also save, for example, your photo book as like a PDF, and then just print it at home if you want. So we're definitely not, Zoner Photo Studio is all about giving you options and not limiting you or pinning you down to any kind of set ways. And so, like I said, we don't want to lock you down. So we offer these options. And again, we feel it's a shame when your photos just simply end up on some kind of drive and they don't physically end up in your life. Lastly, here on the left side in the navigator, you might notice some other additional things like additional storage services and drives, etc. Two of those are our very own, and that's Zoner Photo Cloud and Zonerama, which serve as a place to show off or archive your pictures. But more about that later. I also just want to mention that sharing your photos like on social media, like Facebook Messenger and Twitter and so forth, as a sort of potential last step in your workflow, you can click on them here and you can see those options. Okay, so that was a general overview of what Zoner Photo Studio has to offer. And so as we dive into the individual tools, further in this presentation, you'll be able to kind of more easily orient yourself within the program, what I'm talking about, and kind of make sense of it all. Okay, so let's check out the interesting parts of Zoner Photo Studio. Okay, so maybe this first part actually won't be that interesting, but it's a step that we all have to take. And I'm talking about when when you're finished with your photos, you come home or to your office or wherever your workstation is, you got your SD card ready, it's full of photographs, and you're ready to put your work into post-production. So I'm willing to bet that with all other photo editors you've tried or that you're used to, you have to import all of that into a catalog or some sort of catalog. So that means inserting your card or a cable into your camera. A dialog import window pops up, which you kind of set up the options, and then you hit confirm, and it starts crunching away the numbers and your data. You're pretty much locked off during this process. You're not going to be able to access your photographs until the editor is done with the entire import. I don't know about you, but I'm really impatient when it comes to this sort of thing. I want to work right away. So this import and waiting limitation is just not going to satisfy. For the program to be quick and work well with your photos, it's necessary to create previews or something similar. And we designed Zoner Photo Studio to be able to immediately work from your hard disk. I'm not recommending that you edit your photos on your SD card. It's not that it's not possible, but it brings a high risk of damaging your card, and the cards just aren't simply designed to handle that sort of function. But as soon as you copy your images onto your computer, you can start working and editing with them right away. In this sense, Zoner Photo Studio has some amazing functions. And for example, I can access the disk and view any folder just as I would a typical file explorer, in Windows. I can access the desktop and start working right away on my images. You can see that the previews are very responsive, and I don't need any other software for this. Those of you that have been in the industry for a while or just have messed around and looked for different types of tools, you know that many that use Lightroom often associate Photo Mechanic with it on the side to make the initial selection of photographs. But with Zoner Photo Studio, that's really not needed. And this is one aspect of our sort of all-in-one approach that we take with our software, and that you can use to cover your entire workflow. And I'm really confident in saying that you don't need any specialized software for the entirety of your workflow if you don't have really specialized tasks that happen along the way before you're finished. Here you can see how quickly I can go through the pictures. It's got a smooth response, and I can even zoom into a 1:1 ratio without any issues. Or I can do something like select 4 similar photos, zoom into all 4 of them, and see which ones are in or out of focus very quickly. So, all these things I just showed you, All this took some time to make, and we've really carefully considered all these handy features when we were designing it. So, bottom line is, you don't need to import, and you can work directly with the images once they're on your computer. We do have an import dialog though, but you can consider it more like a quick method of copying with some extra options on the side, like renaming, placing them into different subfolders, etc. That is our concept of importing. But because we like options here, you don't have to do any of that. If you're the type of person, and I'm happy to admit that I fall into that category, that simply takes the folder with the SD card, drags it into the editor, and then worry about naming the files and sorting it out later. No worries, you can do it that way. Like I said, Zoner Photo Studio is all about being open, having options, picking out the type of workflow that suits you best, and not having to worry about how the product was designed, rules, etc. You're free to really kind of pave your own path, if you will. And so we also have plenty of features that make all this easier. When you work with pictures directly on your hard drive without any form of pre-caching, then it's necessary to have a lot of optimization, and a lot of optimization happening kind of behind the scenes to create this sort of seamless experience for the user. A really easy way of putting it that us and nobody else for that matter can really bend the rules when it comes to computer science, or the general laws of just computing. So we have to work or find ways around them. And we spent a lot of time making it just right. And for example, that's where we started to work with embedded JPEGs inside of the RAW file itself, or RAW plus JPEG bundles. And there's a lot of advanced options to, again, make Zoner Photo Studio fit your workflow. When talking about RAW files, for example, we're then able to only preload the already developed previews. And here you can see that's really quick. Okay, so you might be asking, what about RAW files that haven't been edited yet? Well, I'll find one here for you. Again, it loads really quick because we're able to extract the saved JPEG, and we can work with it without the need to fully load the entire RAW file, which is a big advantage. And then this brings me back to the point of why we don't need to load the entire picture, as everything runs smoothly, and even on RAW photos that Zoner hasn't seen or recognized before. We also spend a lot of time on this, so as a user, you don't need to actually import, but again, rather just import when you really need to. And then this brings me to a lot of the functions in our catalog. Even though we don't call the loading of photographs into the editor as importing, a catalog, of course, is necessary because let's say I have 3,000 images from an event and I want to process them in some way. It's going to be much more effective if I do stick them in a catalog. But I'll show you what I mean, how ours is different. Our catalog does work a bit different than the sort of traditional import method. And I don't have to import each and every time that I have new files or a new folder. But merely I just place them into a folder that the catalog already recognizes. And as soon as ZPSX sees that there are new photos in that folder it's already recognized, it just automatically preloads all the data so that you can work with them right away. So again, you're free to choose the workflow that suits best for you. If you want to do it ad hoc and just sort of monitor and you like being manual yourself and doing it yourself, you can do it on each individual folder in the catalog here, or on a folder outside of the catalog, like on your hard drive. So you can even preload your photos this way to quicken the pace of your work. And then, there's a lot of theory with this. We could go way off the deep end with all this stuff, but I think it'll be more interesting to save that for some other time. If I'm merely trying to save, Then if I can summarize that, with Zoner Photo Studio, you can work with your photographs in any folder or file location. You don't need to import them, and if, for example, you have 3 ad hoc files that you want to edit by themselves, but you don't want to place them into the catalog, etc., then yes, you can do that too. And everything will be fast, everything will work as it should, and this is something that other programs can't do. And every time that we do work in one of the big players, one of the big names that you all heard of, we feel that this is something that we wish was there. Okay, let's move on and take a look at the non-destructive edits in the develop module. Let me pick out some raw file and check out what sort of options we'll have. Maybe I'll even take one that's edited already because we are on a tight schedule. Okay, so you've got a big pack of non-destructive tools here when it comes to the develop module. I'm not going to waste your time going over all of them, as I'm sure you've come across them before in various programs, and that it's nothing out of the ordinary here. But I do want to point out the ones that we are proud of and happy with, and that we know differentiate us from the competition. We have a really good approach to color shifting, where you can specify the exact color you want and only change that color to another if you want to. So I can easily use the basic eyedropper to slightly change this color, but I can also easily go to the advanced mode, click on the eyedropper. When I hover over the object's color, I want to change. Notice that there's a little indicator on the color wheel, and that's letting me know where exactly that color falls on the color wheel. And I can just shift that color by 360 degrees without affecting anything else that has a different color. But of course, you will affect other areas with the same color. But because we have really good local adjustments, we can manage this situation easily. I'll use a filter brush. I'll add a mask. And now I'll specifically select the area where I want to shift the color. This is just an example though, as I probably wouldn't want this color popping up, in other areas of the photo. I just wanted to show you what's possible and how you can combine these features together. Overall, notice that in the individual local adjustment tools, you can see how many layers of adjustments I have on top of each other and the effect that each one is having. I can easily click around from one to another, or when I hover over the mask to see exactly what I'm doing, or what it's doing. Another powerful and useful tool, of course, is retouching, because you can split up your work into several steps. You can create several layers, or you can make several strokes within a single mask. But if I want to separate two different tasks, then I could now, for example, retouch some freckles here, or something else. And then another task, I could do something else that's much more pronounced. And let's say your client doesn't like it. It's just too much for them. I can simply just, when I'm back in the program, I can just turn that layer right off. And so you can see that I can make these adjustments pretty quickly, and I can even add another layer if I wanted to. Okay, if you're going to be doing more complex retouching, then this is where I think a bitmap editor does come in handy, but it just depends on the computing power of your computer. Nonetheless, something I'll be mentioning throughout this presentation, we're all about options here at Zoner Photo Studio. So we provide you with options, and you decide, what needs suit you better. In my point of view, I really like that you can do more complex retouching than, let's say, in Lightroom. And when the moment comes that I have to, normally I would have to go from Lightroom to Photoshop, then my workflow gets messy. I don't know about you, but when comes the time to save the file as a different file type, and then when you're done, you go back from Photoshop to Lightroom. I sort of kind of get lost as to which file I'm looking for, and it's just kind of a sort of a pain point or headache. Whereas here, all this goes by the wayside, and so the retouching tools we have here are quite powerful. Another great tool we offer is the smoothing brush, and I personally like to use this before moving into the retouching tools. It's not exactly the ironing brush you're used to from, let's say, Photoshop, for example, but it's a tool that comes off from the technique of frequency separation. And that means that I can make a really rough move here. Just give me a bit. I'm sure you'll get what I mean shortly. I'm also going to blur this just a bit. And now you can see the mask strokes I made. And now we can play with, say, the intensity of the blur with the blur effects slider right here. And if I really wanted to have that sort of smooth look, then I could do that, but I could also do the opposite, which will, when I do this, when it protects the details and it blurs the really small parts of the photo. So it ends up looking like this, and I think this edit, the way it is now, looks a lot more realistic, and it saves me a lot of time with any additional or future retouching. This is the method I usually start off with, where I smooth out the object, and then I continue with retouching if I still think that there's some small details that need some tuning or that I wasn't able to cover with this tool. So again, it's a nice time saver. Okay, I think that was a nice kind of overview and what I'd like to cover today regarding the non-destructive edits. If I were to summarize it, what I really wanted to show you is that Zoner Photo Studio has a non-destructive editor, the develop module, it has a non-linear workflow, and I wanted to emphasize that this is the better and the kind of more modern way to approach editing photographs. And I feel really comfortable saying that because if you look at all the other competitors, they're taking the same approach, which has to say something. But we do differentiate with them from how far you can go with your non-destructive edits. The other brands usually just have another product on the side that they want you to buy for X amount of dollars, and they sort of limit what you can do in this first step. And then this is something that we try to avoid at all costs, and we'd rather provide you with the options of being able to do everything here without any need to buy additional programs or having to leave the interface itself, and really just to pack as many features as possible into this module and into the program to save your precious time, because time is our most valuable asset. But enough of that. Like I said already, we don't have a lot of time together, so let's move on to some of the other parts of Zoner Photo Studio. We covered a little bit of the editor module, so I'm not just going to dive into it too deeply, but to simplify it, it supports layers, masks, it has the full arsenal of tools like cropping, straightening lines, a bunch of selection tools that you'd expect, retouching tools. We have a really good liquify tool where you can adjust individual face features within a photo. Or you can adjust other things on the photograph besides the face or facial features. Of course, we've got drawing tools, adding texts, etc. And then if you go over here, a plethora of filters that you can apply. Again, I just want to reinstate, we're not trying to compete with Photoshop because they've done a lot of work. They go really deep. There's a lot of things you can do with it. And we don't view it really as exactly a photographer's tool. That's where we're trying to stay focused, just a tool for photographers. And so focus on photography versus something that's more suited for, let's say, a graphic design sort of approach. Okay, I think that's enough. That's the skinny on the editor module. Oh, I forgot to mention something that pertains to destructive edits. And that's something that's existed in Zoner since its baby years. It's a quite popular tool, and I'm talking about the batch filter. To put it simply, kind of primitively, it's basically an editor that you can apply to an unlimited amount of photographs and apply various options to all of those photographs that you choose. What I mean is, imagine I want to make an edit, let's say on all of these photographs that I have selected. And let's say I want to get them ready for Instagram. So I hit the batch button here. I'll select the resize filter. And I'll make it a square so that it actually fits Instagram. I'm sure you all know that square photos are the only photos accepted there. So let's change that to a 2048 on both parameters. And below it, I'll place a canvas filter so that it also properly fits the square. I can play with this slider and increase the blur intensity. I can use this one here to make it fade into the color we chose, or kind of align it more with what's on the picture. And then I can apply all of this to all the photos that I choose to include in the batch filter. I can make them all black and white. I can rename them to place them into different folders so that I don't have any duplicates. I can use any of these other filters, and then I can save the settings and even use them again and just keep using them over again. So this is a really great tool to do all these things that we normally do every time with our photographs. And when I actually export photos, I usually save each one in 3 different sizes. One for prints, for example, one for Instagram, and so forth. And I do this so that I always have the optimal size and the best possible quality for each application I'm applying them to. And this is, again, a tool that will save you time and quicken your workflow. And since we're talking about working with a large quality of photos, I also want to mention, let's dive into that export tool that I briefly mentioned earlier. Again, like with the import feature, using non-destructive editing, exporting to a JPEG format, for example, is the more or less only way that you can get that new edited version of your photo. And you can then use that file for something else or share it with a friend, etc. And a big advantage here again is that all the options you have here at your disposal. Since I have all of these selected raw photos, it's going to take some time. But if I need previews immediately, and I mean like right away, immediately, I can just scroll down here and select previews, preloaded quick previews, which are actually the images that we've been looking at the entire time, and that Zoner Photo Studio generated, and we can just simply pull those out from our cache. And so we get those files immediately in the quality that we need, and we can work with them right away. Of course, they're not going to be of the highest quality, but it's an option. And like I mentioned before, we're all about options. Now let's say I needed to create a JPEGs for a client, for example, to see if they like them and if they choose them or if they want to put them by the wayside. Then I just scroll down here and hit previews, quick previews from RAWs. And this allows you not to, on your camera, you don't have to use the RAW plus JPEG format on your camera, but rather you can just create them here within the program. And this is, again, just a matter of moments. And we've also created several presets here from which you can kind of get inspired, use them, or make your own. And it's all just another great time saver. Okay, so I want to go over some of the sharing possibilities now. Here in the navigator, you'll find the two of the in-house ones we have. And this one is our free online gallery, which we call Zonorama. And I'll actually open the site so that you can kind of have a look and see what it looks like. But the cool thing about it is it's free, it doesn't compress anything, and it's unlimited in terms of JPEG storage. You can see it's quick, it's modern looking, it's smooth, and what I think is the coolest of all is it has no commercials. So, I mean, what more could you want in an online gallery? And we've also got big plans for this, so we're constantly improving it. And in my opinion, it is the best way to present your photos online if you're looking for something that's free, doesn't compress the quality of any of your pictures, and there's no advertisements. So I think it's a pretty cool side thing we've made. Okay, so I think now is a good time to slowly wrap things up. I think we've covered some of the nice basic parts of the program that I think are a bit different than the workflows or the limitations of workflows that you've had to adapt to. I would really love it if you came away from this presentation just knowing that there are a lot of major players on the market and that the rules set by some, for example, Lightroom, they kind of make you conform to or live in a sort of paradigm of set features or set functions, and therefore your workflow has been adapted to that, and that's just the way it is. It's not the only pathway forward. And so if there are rules or settings that you don't like much with these players on the market, we would just really appreciate it if you would give Zoner Photo Studio a try and go through some of the things we mentioned today and give us feedback on what you thought. We've been on the market for quite some time. We just haven't really stretched as much before until now. And we've been in the photography industry for quite some time, and it's like a chameleon. It's constantly morphing. There are trends that come and go. It's always, there's always new things coming, and there are things that we are constantly working on to improve and evolving. So I wanted to mention that every half year we come out with a big update, and it always or almost always contains brand new features. It's not a piggyback of something that existed before. It's not just increments of things we've created in the past. And so, with that, I just want to say we have no plans of being left in the dust. And kind of summarizing it again, everything we went over, it's an all-in-one solution. You get a digital asset manager, you get a non-destructive editor, a bitmap editor. We'd be stoked if you gave us a chance. Let us know what you think. Compare us against the status quo that you're used to. And again, thanks for your time. I want to wish you guys a lot of fun experiences with your photography. Stay safe. For those of you on my side of the hemisphere, I hope you're looking forward to spring. Those on the other side, sorry, but winter is also an amazing time to take photos. So I wish you guys all the best. Hope to hear from you, maybe even see you in the future. And have a good one. Thanks.